What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm your host, Warren Thompson, and She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, comes out tonight. So, this is going to be my review of episodes 1 through 4. Spoiler free, we're not going to be going over spoilers in this video, so you don't have to worry about that. But there are some key points that I want to talk about in this video. It is different than my reaction yesterday. We are going into some details, and what I specifically want to talk about today is the characters and the actors, how this show is different. There is good and bad that comes with that. We are going to be talking about good and the bad. And I want to talk about why I love the post-credit scenes of this show. And something we have to talk about because everybody is already talking about it, feminism. There is some feminism in the show, and we'll get into that in a bit. But first, let's start off by talking about the characters. I think the characters are awesome. I actually really like Tatiana Maslany. She did an incredible job as Jennifer Walters / She-Hulk, and all of the other characters that are in the show are really, really good. They're all really good. I like each character. I like the characters that you're supposed to hate, right? I like that the actors are doing such a good job at their roles that you truly do. You're like, oh, you suck. You're a scumbag. Like, they do a really, really good job. The cast is pretty great. And I don't really need to say more than that, because I think once you watch this show, you're going to just watch them and be like, wow, everybody did just a really good job with their characters. And the characters were actually done pretty dang well. I think you're going to see that. I think it'll be very apparent after the first episode. Now, I will say, this show is different, and like I mentioned, that is good and bad. It's good because it actually is quite different than a normal MCU show, which is very refreshing, and it's got a lot of comedy to it. It's got a lot of adult humor that's also kind of safe for kids. Like, I wouldn't worry too much about the kids, but the characters in it, it's funny to see them outside of the norm of the MCU. Like Wong. Everybody knows that Wong is going to show up in She-Hulk, and he is in more than one episode. And it's funny to see such a serious character outside of his normal serious realm in this, comedic show that involves lawyers and lawsuits and things like that. It's really funny to see him kind of out of his own comfort zone, really. So to see characters like that, and other characters as well, as kind of not themselves, I wouldn't say not themselves, but outside of what we truly know them as and what we've seen them so far in the MCU, is actually really cool. It's really refreshing, and it's funny. Like, it's actually pretty funny. However, the bad that kind of comes with this is that the comedy doesn't always land. It doesn't. It's kind of like, I know, like Thor Love and Thunder, I thought the movie was hilarious, but I know a lot of people were like, it was not. It was corny, it was dumb, and I think this is going to be the same. I think this is going to maybe be split down the middle of people going like, no, that's actually really funny, and then other people going like, no, it was really dumb. Like, those jokes weren't funny. And that's just kind of how it is. Now, I will say, the fourth wall breaking, it really works, but is kind of inconsistent. Like, there's some times where she breaks the fourth wall and it kind of seems like other people kind of like hear her break it. And then there's some other times where she's like having full-on conversations with the audience, walking next to somebody, and they're completely oblivious. So I'm just kind of like, what are the rules here? That was a little confusing. And the same thing that I just said goes for the comedy of the wall breaking, the fourth wall breaking. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it misses, sometimes it's really funny, sometimes it's not so funny, and that's just the way it is. Some are gonna be funny to people and some aren't, and there are gonna be people who hate this show, and there are gonna be people who love this show and gonna think everything's funny, and some people are gonna think nothing is funny at all. Now, the overall story, I will say one thing that I truly like, and one thing that does make this show different, is that each episode kind of does stand on its own. I mentioned this yesterday, that it did seem like Marvel Studios finally set out to not make like a 6-hour movie or a 9-hour movie, and they just aimed to make each episode its own thing and good. And I think they did a really good job with that. There were episodes I didn't like, and I do believe episode 1 maybe episode 4 was my favorite. There are some episodes where I was just kind of sitting there like, yeah, that was like enjoyable, right? It wasn't anything over the top. I wasn't on the edge of my seat. I was kind of just there for the ride. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a bad time with some of those worst episodes. I did truly enjoy the first episode, and I liked, I think it was the 4th episode. When I watched it all, it was, in the theater at the launch event, and they didn't actually, tell us like, oh, this is episode 2, this is episode 3 starting, this is episode 4 starting. And I only watched the first episode at home because I wanted to do a reaction, so I actually don't know like where they stop and start. But this is a good point to go into the post-credit scenes. So far, there have been scenes that set up other things in this show, but I think most post-credit scenes so far are just gags. They're just comedy, because this is supposed to be a comedy show. The first post-credit scene, I laughed pretty dang hard. And the other post-credit scenes were relatively funny. I thought like another one was pretty funny, and the other two were just kind of like, heh. But that's just me, right? That's just my sense of humor. You may love them all, you may hate them all. But I thought it was like right in the middle. It was like some were really funny, some were okay. Now, the part I want to talk about is feminism, because this is a female lead, and there are parts where, it's real. It's real. They go into like what it's like to be a woman in the workplace, men talking down to her. Like, that's real things that happens in real life, sadly. And they go into that. Now, the way they go about it might piss some people off. When I walked out of the screening in the theater, I did overhear some people talking, and a few people that I heard talking did say like it was a little too much. I saw other people say that they really loved it, right? And this is men and women saying this, right? So there were men who loved all this feminist stuff that was inside of it, and there were women who thought it was too much, actually. So I think it's just going to be on how you feel, and I'm really like, I believe in equality and all of that, obviously, like that, and I'm really just kind of like, that stuff doesn't bug me, right? I just believe it's real and it's out there, and they're just addressing it. But for some people out there, I know they're going to be like, this is way too much, this is the MCU, blah, 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 blah. You might not like the show. I'm just going to be completely honest about that. But so far, I've truly enjoyed it. It's not my favorite. I saw a lot of tweets from a lot of like critics and other people that are like, this is the best MCU show so far. I do not believe that to be true. I still hold Loki and WandaVision above it. I probably hold Moon Knight above it as well. But I do think it's better than like Hawkeye and Miss Marvel and What If. Everybody knows I don't like What If. So overall, I had a really good time watching the first 4 episodes. I think it's a good show, definitely, and I only saw 4 episodes. There are 9 episodes. There are a lot more, and the story hasn't really been brought out too much yet. Like I said, they like focus on like individual episodes. The overall story is kind of coming together, but like it's not there yet. And I do believe I heard like 5 and 6 are where it actually kind of starts to truly come together. And unfortunately, we have to wait 5 to 6 weeks to get there. But you're all going to watch the first episode tonight. I'll be doing my watch parties, and hopefully you all enjoyed this episode and are going to be along for the ride. I'm excited to see where this show goes. I think it does have a lot of potential, and I think if it ends strong, it will be some people's favorite MCU show. And it's funny. I enjoyed the humor. I enjoyed the lightheartedness of it, and I'm here for the ride. Hopefully it ends strong. I think that will ultimately determine where I rank it. I don't think there's any way it's going to beat Loki or WandaVision for me. Probably not Moon Knight either, but hey, who knows? Again, this is my opinion. Please form your own. Don't just think something because I said it or somebody else said it. And as always, if you like something and then somebody else doesn't like it, it's okay. It's okay if you don't like something. It's okay if you do like something. Don't let other people and like the pressure of like fitting in with everybody kind of make you change your mind. Just be who you are, and if you enjoyed it, don't let people bring you down. And if you didn't, I'm sorry. Hopefully you like the next one that Marvel and Disney Plus puts out. But hey, I'm excited for everybody to watch it tonight. I'll be doing my watch parties. It'll start at 12 PST, actually 11:30 PST will start before. And yeah, let me know what you're expecting in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you can stay up to date on She-Hulk and all other MCU things. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Woof woof.